Lovely cushion header. And oh, you beauty! What a miss! Really good was enough for the 3 points. Manchester City is still alive here. Balotelli, Aguero!
Hello everybody and welcome to the Dream Team Tonic podcast, where we talk all things Dream Team, helping you to win your mini leagues. Before we start, hit that like button, hit that subscribe and notch the bell. Make sure you get notified every time a new podcast lands. If you do want more content or just to show your support for the Dream Team Tonic lads, head over to patreon.com/Dream Team Tonic. The link is in the description below. We offer access to an amazing Discord, exclusive articles, fixtures, live question and answers and much more, all to help you improve you as a Dream Team manager. Without further ado, I hand you over to me, Tony, for today's podcast. Enjoy and thanks for your support. Hello everybody and welcome to Dream Team Tonic podcast, episode 103. I'm Tony and with me this week is James. Are you there, mate?
I'm here, Tony.
Good to have you back, mate. And Fergi, for your monthly special. You there, mate?
I am, buddy. How are you?
All good, mate. All good. We are missing Ben again this week. He's currently out at sea. We have just heard from him. He's working on the ship, so we are missing him currently. But yeah, I'm sure he'll be back shortly. Good to see you both. Let's just get straight into your team. Fergie, we obviously you're first up because you are the guest. How's it gone this week, mate?
Well, the best so far this week. Pretty well set up. I've gone kind of all in on Man United defence now. Apart from Gabriel, obviously they conceded a couple, and I was unsure on Haaland. I took De Bruyne out a couple of weeks ago. I did De Bruyne to Foden when Foden looked like he was back, and he's obviously been injured. So I've done him on to Bowen. But yeah, so I got De Gea -1, Shaw -1, Dalot -1. Martinez managed to scrape ratings where he gets 2 points. Still got Gabriel on 3 points. I've got Odegaard on 5. Bruno blanked. Bowen got 3 points today. I believe he hit the bar, which I missed, but I think he hit the bar. And then Rashford 0. Haaland did not play, and Kane still to play. So a very, very measly 10 points. And I'm disappointed because I was doing really well. I was up to about, well, I say really well, it's all contextual, but I was up to about 19k, which pre-World Cup I was like 340k. So I was really happy. But I've slipped back down after today to 29k. Haven't got any Brighton players. And haven't got De Bruyne. He was the real one which hurt. And stuff. So yeah, I'm still really, really happy with my team. I think it's in a good spot, and I can see a lot of teams around me in my mini leagues that are I don't think are as well set as mine going forward. So I'm still happy, but a poor weekend so far. Yeah, it's fair to say.
Yeah. Arsenal lads, are they coming out?
They will be next week. I was going to do Gabriel to Dalot yesterday, but obviously because Saka didn't start, I did that early. But yeah, next looking now into April. Obviously, we'll touch on all this now. But my really early plans are, I've got like 8 million in the bank or something stupid like that.
Yeah, it's crazy,
so
isn't it?
It's mad at the moment. So my very, very early thoughts are probably to do something like Odegaard and Gabriel to De Bruyne and Mahrez as two early start, as two kind of moves from next weekend. But yeah, I haven't given it a whole lot of thought yet, but it definitely looks to be a month of two halves, April, to kind of pile in on one or two teams early on and then move over after that. So that's my really, really early thoughts so far. But I'm disappointed because I was on a real upward curve, and this weekend has derailed it a little bit because bloody Brighton just keep on going, don't they? They're unbelievable. And De Bruyne, he stings me all the time. He looks dreadful for ages. He doesn't start. You take him out, you think, oh, I could spread that money elsewhere. And all of a sudden, he's going to cost me 8 million to get back on Friday now, which is a bit of a killer. But such is life.
Luckily, you got it in the bank.
Well, I got 8 million in the bank. I can afford. I can afford to bring him in as a 12th man. So yeah, that's my roughish plan. How was your team looking, James?
Yeah. Well, not too bad. I did have De Bruyne, and I brought in Matoma,
Nice.
and I brought in Salah as well, because I had plenty of transfers to spare. So yeah, I got my United block didn't do so well. -1 from De Gea, -2 points from Martinez, -1 from Shaw, -1 from Dalot. Matoma got me 8 points. Fernandez nothing. Saka nothing. De Bruyne 15. And Haaland to Salah, which was a bit disappointing. When he scored early, I was thinking, here we go. I had a feeling that he was gonna. He raises his game against the bigger opposition, and it all went Pete Tong, didn't it? He got himself booked for being petulant. So he only got 4 points in the end. I don't know what it is psychologically. 5 points seems so much more than 4, doesn't it? You look at 4 and you're like, was it really worth it?
Yeah.
I get Haaland
He's
back
again midweek, doesn't he? So
yeah, he does. He does have 2 fixtures. So I've got another transfer. I think I've got 1 or 2 transfers left, so I can get Haaland back, assuming that the news is positive on his groin. So yeah, 26 points so far. Fairly happy with the team. That doesn't seem like too bad a score this week. Looking around my mini leagues.
Yeah, not the worst. Not the worst. Like Salah's got Chelsea next. He likes to go against them as well, doesn't he?
Yeah. Well, the break. Fergie just told us that Potter's been sacked, so no doubt we'll hit Chelsea as soon as they get a new manager bounce, which would be bloody typical, wouldn't it? I was quite looking forward to playing them.
Yeah.
Sorry?
They'll probably get Tuchel back.
Would have thought at the start of the season that Chelsea and Liverpool at this stage of the season would be like a mid-table clash. It's unbelievable, isn't it? Sorry, James.
Yeah.
Kind of like Southampton and Brentford or something, or Southampton and Bournemouth. Chelsea and Liverpool.
The Spurs haven't been too great.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
If you look at mate, you'll find them.
Good retort.
I've not been able to say that for a long time.
Yeah. Right, quickly on to my team before it gets nasty. My team's very heavy City. So heavy. Ederson 0, Diaz 0, Walker did not play. Akanji played at right back this week. He did all right as well, actually. Akanji looked all right there. Shaw -1. De Bruyne, I do have him in this team, 15 points. Fernandez 0, Foden did not play, appendicitis. He's had his appendix out, so that's him. Hopefully not too long, but he's going to have to come out anyway. Mitoma, a nice 8 points again. Just keeps chugging along, Mitoma. He keeps racking up the points. Alvarez, who has been a nice little differential for me in quite a few teams that I threw him into. Another 8 points for him. Haaland did not play. And Rashford 0 points, 30 points for the week. Which isn't great, but it'll be a lot of the scores that are around. I think there's a lot of United blocks that got stung today at Newcastle. Arsenal blocks with that Leeds goal, quite damaging. There's not been many clean sheets around, has there?
I think De Bruyne was like the difference maker this week, if you had him or not.
Yeah.
If you haven't got him, you've really, really fallen. But if you have got him, you're probably just averaging out in you. So
yeah. Luckily for me, in my top side, I had my mate Jack Grealish, who got he got 10 points. So it softened the blow because I did the same, Fergie. I moved De Bruyne to Foden. I actually tried to reverse it, which we should start playing the sad music. But I thought I'd reversed it, and he hadn't in my top side. And yeah, a bit more damaging this week. Appendicitis. Where's that come from?
That means you've got Foden in that team as well, haven't you? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just able to move him on then, have you?
No, last transfer.
Nightmare. What a nightmare.
Yeah. So that's just when you know you're not meant to win it. So, yeah. Grealish ticked along nicely though in that team. So not too much damage, but yeah, that's how my podcast team has done.
Tony, you were very close to heading to the tattoo artist, weren't you, this coming week?
I was, mate. I was. I told my missus she's fuming. She's fuming that I've even made the deal.
So if Grealish gets a brace this year, Tony's going to get a Grealish tattoo.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
No, hold on. It's a brace and an assist. We dropped it from a hat trick to 2 goals and an assist. And he had an assist, and then he scored, and then he had that volley at the back post, didn't he? And Alisson,
he nearly went in.
Shit, honestly. I thought, shit. And the missus is like, what are you doing? I'm going to end up with Jack Grealish on my fucking shoulder, aren't I?
Brilliant.
Yeah. So we'll see. Hopefully that doesn't come about, but he's done all right for me, to be fair. Jack Grealish, he's ticked along all right.
He's starting almost every game, isn't he? And he is.
Yeah.
He's looking dangerous.
The Foden injury is obviously he's having his appendix out, has probably nailed Jack again. So he's probably going to start on that left hand side for at least the next 2-3 weeks easily. It does open the door for Mahrez as well. I know he likes sometimes play Bernardo out there and rest Mahrez, but Mahrez is now a good shout. The Foden injury does open doors for some of the City mids. So, yeah. Alvarez as well. He played so well.
Such a good player, isn't he?
Yeah. I mean, how long can you keep him out the side?
Exactly.
So, yeah. All good signs, though. But, right. That's the team's gone through. Let's get over to the listener questions. First up, we've got DT Patrick. City and Arsenal are way ahead in the scoring charts, but now with Arsenal's lack of fixtures, which also look tougher on paper compared to City's, and with City looking so impressive with goals coming from everywhere, is now the time to pack our midfields with City players at the expense of Saka and Odegaard, etc.? And if so, which ones would you go for, aside from KDB? Fergie, you love your City midfielders, mate.
I do. Yeah, so I think, obviously, myself, I haven't got De Bruyne, so he'd obviously be the first port of call. Sadly, looks like he'd probably go up to about 7.9 or 8 million by the end of the week, which is a pain. But I just think he's necessary. He's so destructive when you don't own him, and he does haul because of his ownership, and because like yesterday was a 15-pointer yesterday against Liverpool, 1 game in the week. He's just one you just gotta, especially now that they've got the fixtures. They're still in the FA Cup, they're still in the Champions League. He's gonna play at least 1 game in 2, if not more now, like 2 in 3, play the rest of the season. So he's obviously number 1. I still much prefer Mahrez to Grealish first off. I'm not sure how much he is, Mahrez, but he will definitely be my first port of call. And I would probably say then Grealish after him. Gundogan has been playing an awful lot of games as well, and he's one who could go under the radar because he does score an odd goal. He pops in an odd brace every now and then as well. He did it. Remember last game of last season to essentially win in the league, didn't he? And stuff. So I think in order, I think De Bruyne, Mahrez, Grealish, Gundogan in that order for me. And yeah, look at those who've listened in with me before know I'm very much a fixture volume person, and going ahead into April now. Next week, Arsenal only play once away to Liverpool. They only play once a week after, away to West Ham. Man City away to Southampton, home to Bayern, home to Leicester, away to Bayern in that same time. And then straight after that, Man City and FA Cup, home to Sheffield United, which you would assume they'd win comfortably as they disposed of. They beat in the last round. It's a difficult game in the last round for them. Who was it? Burnley. A difficult game. Absolutely battered them. So, in short, yes, absolutely. I would be getting off all the Arsenal players and switching over to other teams. Man City, still think Man United have got a lot to offer in the coming weeks. And the other team, again, just going on pure fixture volume for me, but I do think West Ham could have some good value over the next 2 or 3 weeks. Still, I've missed the boat on Brighton. Obviously, well done to anyone who has gone with Brighton. But looking at their fixtures now for the coming 2 or 3 weeks, I'd be tempted to. You could hold, but I wouldn't be buying. So they're obviously away to Bournemouth this midweek. You can't do much about that one. But after that, they've got one game next week away to Spurs, one game the following week away to Chelsea. Said all these other teams will play four or five times in that time. So that's my personal early analysis. What I'll be doing, I'll be avoiding Brighton. I brought Bowen in this week. He got a 7 rating. Plays again this midweek. Got Fulham and then the Europa as well. May even double up with someone else. I know they're not looking very good. I really appreciate that. And it's not for everyone.
I was just about to jump in with that. They're looking shite, aren't they?
They are, but there will be points there. I think there will be points in the Europa as well. They will score points, whereas Arsenal just haven't got the games to score the points in, I suppose is my argument. So definitely. My very long analysis of midfielders and teams will be targeting. Yeah.
Top analysis, mate. What do you reckon, James?
Yes, time to load up on those City mids. Plenty of fixtures. Grealish looking on top form. Mahrez less competition with Foden out. I agree with Fergie. Mahrez would be. I mean, KDB aside, of course, Mahrez would be my next choice. Then Grealish. So I think he's pretty much nailed it there. Definitely time to load up on City. United looking good as well. So I'd be moving off the Arsenal assets myself, I think. Yeah.
You know what's frustrating with Grealish is that he could have so many more goals. Yeah. He could do. And there's something that I recognised about, obviously, me having him in my top side, and obviously fretting about him scoring a hat-trick or scoring a brace and an assist. But watching his game, so many times he has the chance to push forward into the box, and I watch him just jog, and he follow through maybe in that final bit, and I've watched it many a time where I thought he should be there, or he should have made that run. I'm thinking, why don't he do it? And if I were Pep, I'd be saying to him, "Look, you're doing everything outside. Why are you doing this last little bit?" And I swear to God, you watch it for his goal, go back to it, watch the replay of his goal. He stops. He makes the pass out wide, and he stops. And then all of a sudden he goes, I can see it click in his head, and he goes, "Shit, there's loads of space there. Why am I not running into that?" And he runs into it, and he slides onto it and gets the goal. And it literally, how many times it happens, he's crazy in a game because he creates so much. He's so good, Grealish. He's a very, very good player. But dream team wise, he's poor because he doesn't do it enough. He doesn't do it enough.
He doesn't gamble, does he? He doesn't gamble. He's not he hasn't got a natural instinct to just hover and then just make a run. And if he's not found, he's not found. But you've got to be there, haven't you? And he doesn't.
He always seems to sit back.
Yeah.
And it's a strange one. I know, unless you're interested. If you watch that replay of his goal, honestly, I swear to God, he stops. And I was just like, as I'm watching it, I'm going, "Why are you stopping?" And then he set off up run. And then he got there, and a little lad as well, little lad's cheering. He's like, Grealish, get in! Like, excellent. But yeah, it's been a frustration of mine since owning him, just because he could score so many more. He could, especially in that City side, because they create so much. And to be fair, he's been a big part of that this year as well. He's played so well, especially since the World Cup. He's been one of their top performers. I know he's took a lot of criticism because of his 100 million price tag, but he's been pretty good. Hopefully, if he takes more chances. But yeah, going on to the question anyway, off Grealish. But yeah, we've got Grealish, Mahrez. Now Foden's injured, I like Grealish and Mahrez as options, definitely, because you're going to have less rotation. I know I touched on earlier about the Bernardo Silva, who sometimes he likes to play up there, and Mahrez might sit a few out. But yeah, I mean, Gundog. I think Gundog went on a bit of a scoring spree earlier on in season, did he not? Because I'm sure I had him as a differential.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's always there, ready to score a couple. Good player, very good player. The Arsenal lads, there's just such a lack of fixtures for them now. They have absolutely bottomed out on fixtures. And then Saka gets rested this week, which is, were a strange one for me. So yeah, they're absolute minimum fixtures. I'd get rid, load up on City and other teams, and as Fergie says, Matoma, March, McAllister. They've got a tough few weeks upcoming, and it's probably not the time to jump on them. Is it the time to sell?
Probably not. I think it depends where you are in your leagues and stuff. If you need to gamble, if you need to gamble, you could, right? I think a really good gambling team would be West Ham. I can't believe I'm advocating piling West Ham, right? But in terms of where you could get some points where other people won't be looking, players like Jarrod Bowen, Ben Rama, maybe even like, I can't even say Danny Ings, whoever starts on these Thursday night teams, they could get a goal or two in those games, and no one will be looking, sort of thing. I think but if you're sat pretty handily, you're happy to hold your transfers the second half of the month, because the second half of the month onwards, Brighton will have lots of fixtures, fantastic fixtures, plenty of them, and I'll certainly be looking to overpay to buy a few then. But I think in the meantime, there is opportunity to look elsewhere at different teams and try and get an edge. Personally,
yeah, definitely. Moving on from that, Aman's been on. Is it too risky to go without City midfielders? Obviously, you touch on people wouldn't be looking at West Ham players, and you're trying to squeeze an edge from somewhere. Obviously, people probably will be quite heavy on City. Is it risky going without them and trying to go a bit too different?
I don't know who else you'd get in, to be honest, for midfield, apart from Bruno's obviously a really, he's an obvious one. But and maybe if you're holding on to a Brighton mid or two, I'm not even sure who else is having your team really, apart from the City mids. I don't know if you guys can think of any staple that should be in there for the start of April, apart from Bruno.
No.
I don't know.
I've been listening to Owen on our Discord, and I think he's desperate to try and push further up the table, because was he about 20th at the moment, something like that? He was as high as, I think he nearly hit the top 10. I think it's a dangerous game to try and go too different, but I am a cautious manager, so and Aman's doing very well, so I'm not sure I'd in a position to tell him exactly what to do, but I think it's death or glory sort of thing. He said he'd rather finish 200th than finish 12th, and I get that, and he's willing to take some gambles. I'm not sure going completely avoiding the City midfield. I feels foolhardy to me. But you've been up there, Fergie. Would you?
I think you gamble a bit elsewhere, maybe. I'm not sure I'd gamble in that spot because that to me is the most obvious.
Yeah.
Of De Bruyne especially, and now that Foden's injured, people will be pumping on Mahrez. Haaland is obviously going to be really popular. Rashford will be. I think those 4 or 5 spots are pretty nailed. But I think in most of the other spots, that third striker spot, there's maybe an argument to try and have a punt on Alvarez potentially. Some will have Kane, some will have Salah. Neither of those players have got lots of fixtures in the first half of the month either. And defensively, it's a bit of a lottery at the moment. It's like, where's the clean sheets coming from? So you could maybe try and be a bit different in those positions. But I think, I have been up there, but I was top, so I was in defensive mode. Whereas obviously Ammon is looking to attack a little bit, and be different. But I don't think the Man City midfield spot is the place to do it. I think there's other areas of your team you could have a bit of a gamble.
I think you've nailed it there. Yeah, I agree totally. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Alan is going pretty light on City midfielders as well. Alvarez is a good shout. Because I think with his performance, maybe he will get a bit more game time, and maybe he will play him out wide when Haaland comes back.
I just can't see Haaland if he's nursing a knock as well. I just can't see Haaland playing 90 minutes every 3 days for not far off the rest of the season. I think Alvarez will see a lot of minutes. He could have some off the bench, but I do think he'll start some. But whoever plays that number 9 role for Man City has always got a chance of scoring loads of goals, loads of points. Yeah. So I think it could be a risk. It could be a worthwhile risk, even if only in the short term, because, like I say, Kane plays once a week for the next 2 weeks, as is Liverpool. You could maybe have a shunt on Alvarez for a couple of weeks and then maybe move on to Salah or Kane after that, or maybe not Kane, more Salah probably. But yeah, I think there's other areas you could target.
Yeah, it's good options there. It's dangerous to go out City, definitely dangerous. Especially, I know they swept Liverpool aside. It's not the greatest Liverpool side we've seen, is it, over the last few years, James? So
it's not. No, that midfield needs some serious maintenance in the summer.
It does. Your engine room is so big, the game of football, and it's not been quite right for Liverpool for a while. So, all season. So, yeah, it was a good performance from City, but yeah, definitely tougher assignments upcoming, especially with Bayern. Right.
I know.
Sorry, Fergie.
I was just going to say, I'm not even sure who you'd put in the midfield spot. I suppose is someone I'd say as well. I can't even think of who you'd have in there.
There's not many knocking
apart
about,
from
is
Bruno.
But Bruno probably stays.
Just a final thought, yeah.
He probably stays in there because they've got the fixture volume, haven't they? And he's always capable of throwing in a big haul as Bruno.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
Right, same as last week. It's toilet break time. Grab yourself a tea, grab yourself a beer, and we'll see you soon.
Grab yourself some toilet roll.
Hello. Here we are.
When you staggered back to your seat then, Tom, I don't know if you like fell over or something, but it definitely sounded like you were actually like on the toilet, curling one out for a minute. You kind of went, oh,
Did that?
yeah.
Yeah, I
think
heard
so.
that as well. I assumed that you'd gone for number 2.
No.
Doing one live on air.
We'll see. We'll see in the recording. I didn't hear that.
I love the toilet break music. I feel like I'm in a nightclub, just like slumped against a wall with a can of blue whiskey.
Yeah, what's happened to life?
Exactly that. you know, like that kind of our age, and you sort of end up in a nightclub, and all you want to do is just get a kebab and go home. You're just against the wall, going, "For fuck's sake, I'll stay here for another hour, like with whoever I should drinking blue whiskey."
I'm too old for this shit.
All I want is a nice cup of tea. Anyway, are we live?
Yeah, all good.
Oh shit! I didn't know
Right, on to the next question, Fergie. Right.
Did you just have a number 1 or a number 2?
We like to keep it light-hearted on this show.
Yeah, definitely. Asbestos has been on. He's drunk on love with Scotland winning against Spain. Asbestos. He's not calmed down since on the Discord.
Brilliant.
If you wanted the biggest bang for your buck in terms of targeting teams to gain maximum fixture quantity, what hop-on and hop-off points would you be looking at with your 5 April fixtures? Fergie, is there any points of the month you'll be looking at, any hop-on, hop-off moments?
Yeah, it's a good question. Well, Arsenal, I just think you hop off Arsenal as soon as you can. And I think if anyone's got transfers left, we could probably hop off people like Saka on the Thursday and jump on players who scored some points on the Friday to get some gains. Some cash in the bank. Sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've just be hopping off Arsenal and going on to Man City. I think is that's the main thing. The defense is hard to call for Man City. I would still reasonably be tempted to look at the United defense with maybe 1 or 2 City defenders. I wouldn't. It's a tough one. I don't know what you guys think about the City defense. It's just so bloody hard to call. And defensively, they still haven't been that good, have they? I think this is the problem as well with them. At least with United, they haven't been very good, but they play the same players in the majority of the games. Like De Gea, Luke Shaw, Martinez. You'll get points off them just because of the pure volume of games, whereas you should as well. But I think the Bayern game is tough for Man City as well. Like I can see them conceding there.
So definitely,
I just think off Arsenal. If you're not heavy on Man United, I'd maybe get 1 or 2. Like definitely going to Man City, and like I say, if you're looking for a bit of a punt, I do think West Ham could offer a bit of value. I'm not sure who starts to need Roper for West Ham up front. Because I think Scamacca's back in training now, and they've obviously got Antonio as well and Ings, so I'm not really sure on that one. But I do think like Bowen, Benrahma, maybe even defender. I was considering a defender this morning. And like I know it sounds a bit naff and a bit boring, but they kept the clean sheet today. If you'd have gone for, is it Aguerd or
Yeah.
Kehrer today, you'd have got a goal or an assist as well. So that would have been a nice, a nice again under the radar haul.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I think other than that, I just can't get excited. I'm purely talking about the first half of April now, mine, because obviously the second half will come a bit clearer. As teams progress in terms of the Champions League, and Europa League. Do think Liverpool have the potential in the second half of April to improve their fixtures turn. They've got some their fixture into the end of the season is pretty insane, actually. So they got Forest on the 21st of April. Sorry, on that week, and then they're away to West Ham. Then they got Spurs, who are leaky. Then home to Fulham, home to Brighton, away to Leicester, home to Villa, home to Southampton to finish the season. So I think when we're looking at fixtures for April as well, I would also just bear in mind the May ones as well. Like a player like Salah, I'd probably be looking to get in at that point and leave him in for the rest of the season, just as an example. I don't know if that's answered the question, but
there's a big block there, isn't there, for most teams?
There are.
A lot of the fixture advantage is going to come through early April, you'd say.
Yeah, exactly that.
Early April, mid-April.
After that, it gets a bit harder, I think, towards the back end. Yeah,
because I think then it brings a lot of other teams back into play.
But all those teams we mentioned, Man City, Liverpool, Man United, West Ham even, and then Brighton the second half of the season, they've all basically got matches every week and midweek almost near the end of the season. So you're not just bringing them in for the short term either. You can afford to bring those kind of teams in and then just shift them around based on injuries or form or whatever else. None of these ones you bring in the short term, you would have to move on. You could keep them, and this is the advantage I think in fantasy. This is what kind of wins you things, in my opinion, is getting on teams early. Thing is, I know I keep banging about West Ham, and it's going to come back to bite me, right? But say West Ham with the fixtures they've got, which are really good fixtures, if they go on like a nice little run, and there's no obvious players to oppose them with, you're then ahead of them. Then people will be looking to get them in because they will see, actually, they're through in the next round of the Europa. They have got good fixtures, whereas you're already on them. And I don't think there's massive risk with going with maybe one or maybe two of them. Obviously not at the expense of De Bruyne, Mahrez, Bruno, Rashford, anyone like that. But on those edges, around the edge, even a West Ham defender could prove to be reasonably decent. For a couple of weeks before you move off.
Big differentials, aren't they? You reckon, James?
I think Fergie's nailed it there, to be honest. The only thing I would say is there is some advantage to not burn.
You're very noisy, James. What's happened with your mic? I thought someone were under a fish tank. Is
there an issue? I haven't changed anything.
Oh, that's better.
Oh, okay. Perhaps I should need to move a bit closer to it.
No, you sorted it. That's why you're the tech guy.
Yeah. There's no, if you haven't got fires to put out, if you haven't got obvious transfers to make, then there is some merit in holding back some transfers, definitely.
Sure.
I mean, you'll get to see fairly those European fixtures. You'll get, you can usually tell, if someone gets thumped in the first leg, they're going out.
Exactly,
So there's definitely some merit in that, and it's also worth noting that that Ben has been talking to Dream Team support. I meant to mention this a couple of weeks ago. In May, the Champions League fixtures are actually in June, I believe, and we won't be getting new fixtures. Sorry, we won't be getting new transfers. So when it comes to May, you've got 5 transfers. That's it. Even though the European finals are actually in June, they're not giving us.
It's after the first Friday in June, isn't it?
Yeah, which is a shame. I think personally, I think it would make it more interesting. But that's the way that they've decided to go. We've clarified that with them. Sometimes the support person gets it wrong though, but I think that's what that's what it says in the rules as well. If you look at the fixture windows, so just bear in mind that you're not going to get extra fixtures for those Champions League ones. So if you've got so saving some back for the latter half of the month means that you can use some to set you up for May as well. And you'll have a much better idea of who's going to be in those finals. So
to be fair, we can't transfer in Bayern or Real Madrid players anyway, can we?
No, it could be that it could be one of those weird years where Fergie may be ahead of the curve. It might be West Ham that are the only team that progress or something crazy. You never know. It wouldn't be a massive surprise if Man City went out against Bayern, would it? Chelsea going out against Real Madrid, Yeah, I mean, even Sevilla is not wouldn't say that was a nailed on win for Man United, would you? So yeah, there's lots of information to be had.
Good point.
In the mid-April as well. So don't be spaffing as Fergie would say, all those transfers at the beginning of the month.
I just want to clarify that the West Ham picks are for people who are looking for a gamble. I'm not saying like the guy in top should go block West Ham. but if you are looking just to I was just having a quick look at the ownership levels of the West Ham players. Bowen is 6.6, who's by far and away the highest. Benrahma is 0.7, Antonio is 0.9, Ings 0.8, Scamacca for some reason is 1.5, probably because he's so cheap. Fabianski 0.8, Zuma 1.1, Aguerd 0.1, Paqueta 0.3, Creswell 1.8. They're mega cheap. For a gamble, I think one or two of them are worth a look. But obviously, if you're defending or you've got a really good side, just stick with what you've got.
That fixture volume is massive. Massive for West Ham.
You expect them to win as well, right? I'll look at the odds now. But yeah.
Yep, definitely. Definitely. Right, FPL Daniel. FPL player across here playing Dream Team. Nice to see. Currently ranked 250th in the world. Best teams to target next month. Fergie probably just ran over that. Like obviously, United, City. We've pretty much done that. There's his team there: De Gea, Shaw, Ake, Diaz, Fernandes, Mitoma, McAllister, Saka, Rashford, Kane, Salah. Very good team. You're pretty much set. Would you take out one of them Brighton midfielders going into this next month? Just if it was your team.
I would.
Yep.
But I'm fixture volume player. And the two they've got in the first 2 weeks are away to Spurs, away to Chelsea, and that's all they play.
Yeah. I'd say as pro as well, next to him, say you take McAllister, I'd probably take Saka out as well. City, very City light in midfield. But Ake and Diaz in defence. Diaz is probably the most nailed defender. Now, he's got back in the side. Seems so. But Ake has been brilliant. I don't know if you watched many City games, but Ake has been brilliant for City.
Yeah, agree with that.
Obviously, Daniel, you probably heard a lot from through the pod on the best teams to target for next month, so we don't have to run over it again. Right, Lee Hooper. After the Bournemouth game, Brighton have Spurs and Chelsea both away, followed by United. Hang tight through those games, which would quite possibly mean seeing it out until the end of the season with any Brighton assets, or move away with the new transfers. Again, Lee, we've probably touched on that, mate. But question 2, feels like this is a point in the season when tactics in mini leagues based on other teams around you really come into play. Discuss. This is obviously we are getting down to the nitty gritty now, and anybody not in with a shout of winning the whole thing, they're literally solely focused on these mini leagues, and and tactics alongside these mini leagues coming big. Fergie, what we doing now? If you're in the lead, what are you doing?
If you're in the lead, you're just bringing in the big names, bringing in De Bruyne, Mahrez, for the again the first half of this month. A kind of a template. Probably a mixture of Man United and Man City defensive mixture. Probably 3 at the back. Probably Bruno, Mahrez, De Bruyne, and I'd still be tempted to go for someone like Owen, or you go for Grealish or someone like that, and then Rashford, Haaland, and then one of Kane, Salah, or Alvarez. I think will be a very optimal way to start the month. Yeah. And then obviously you move on from there. So I think if you're ahead on your leagues, you don't need to take any risks. You can also look. So if you're top by like 20, 30 points, and then there's only one person who's chasing you, you could just do the dirty and bring in the players they've got. So if they've gone for Grealish, just bring in Grealish. That just completely blocks any advance they can make. If they've got a City defense and you've got a United defense, just switch to a City defense. And conversely, then if you're chasing, so I'm quite surprised actually. Like looking at a few of my leagues, how many people have already gone all in on Man City. So I'm looking to eke out hopefully a few more points for Man United this week, and I've got to make a decision now on who to go for. You could, and even like if a person's got Ake, you could maybe go a Kanji, be different. You maybe go for for Diaz, but if you're defending, just match them man for man. I wouldn't use all your transfers doing this, by the way. Just the key players, just to kill off any chance of an advancement. And like I say, if you're chasing, do think there's plenty of opportunities to be different and just and just have a go. And go for different teams, especially West Ham. Can't believe I'm saying West Ham. I've never said West Ham so much in my life in the last half an hour.
James.
I think Fergie's nailed it there. I mean, I like to. We've discussed this before in previous seasons. I like to look at it in terms of fear. So if your rival, if you're ahead, and the guy behind you's got a player you fear, he could haul. Then that's the way to do it. You don't necessarily need to bring in players you don't fear. If he's got a crap player, don't be covering that one. It's a good idea to keep an eye on what your rivals are doing. Be able to pick. If you're behind, you can deliberately look at their teams, pick differentials that they don't have. If you need to be a bit different, there's plenty of player options out there. Some of them are 50-50 calls. If he's got Grealish, maybe you do go Bowen. So you can play it that way if you're chasing. So that's all I would add to that, I think.
Yeah. The only thing I'd just add on to that as well is if the person has got a player who you don't think is good long-term hold. So just example now, if someone's got Saka or Odegaard, and Odegaard got a 5-pointer yesterday, I wouldn't be bringing in Odegaard because that person will very likely be getting rid of Odegaard. So you only want to be looking at the ones who you're scared of going forward. I know that sounds obvious, but I have made that mistake before. I made that mistake the year I won it. I brought in someone just purely as a cover move, and then that person took him out the bloody week after, which I was a bit gutted about.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. It's harder to chase than it is to defend. I think if you're sat at the top and you can just cover some of these moves with the big guys, it's you can pretty much nail the league. Especially if you've got a nice little cushy point cushion at this point, but there is still a hell of a lot. Obviously, you can only have 11 players. There's a lot of players that are going to score points that could bring you the points in that could take you to the top. So it's finding them. And like you say, like Fergie just said about Saka, there'll be some people that are scared of taking Saka out.
Got to do it, in my opinion. Got to do it.
And there'll be some people that won't though, and there'll be some people sat at the top of the league, and they won't take him out because of it's Arsenal, they're playing well, they're scoring goals.
We spoke in the new year, I think in January, at the end of January, I think it was, and we were talking about getting rid of Newcastle defenders.
Yeah.
And everyone thought it was absolutely bonkers because they were absolutely on fire, keeping clean sheets twice a week. But you've got to look at what's in front of you, and that's how you do well at fantasy. Is
Definitely.
What is the next trend? Not what has just happened. What is the next trend? And the next trend is Arsenal are going to find it incredibly hard to score points for the next 2 weeks. You can always get them back after. You're not saying you don't have to get them back, but there's a thing I like to do. There's a thing I like to do with my teams, and sometimes it's to my detriment. But I always try and like to have my team in a constant state of like pivot, I call it, where if I've gone all in on a team, that's obviously different because I've made a decision. I've looked at it all. And I'm just going all in because they are just it's too good a thing now to the end of the season. Like if Man City beat Bayern, for example. That's someone I would be looking at. You could just say, do you know what? I'm just all in on City now. They're very likely to. They're going to play the two legs in the semi. They're very likely to beat Sheffield United in the FA Cup, so they'll probably play the final. I just go for it. But other than that, I'd like to keep my teams in a bit of a state of having 2 or 3 from each sort of team, unless you see these massive runs like Man United, and their fixtures still going on and on. But I think I've got five United now, but I'm not going to go all in 7, 8, or 9 on United because it's hard to get off them, and they're not that good a team to pin your season on. Whereas Man City aren't they? They are that good a team. You can just go. And just another thing on FF stuff. I'm sure most, if not all, your listeners are familiar with it. But one thing I did when I was up the top is you can see how many transfers your opponents have got. Definitely on the leaderboard anyway. I'm not sure if you can on mini leagues, but I used to always try and make sure that I had at least as many transfers as my opponents, so I could just basically copy their moves if I needed to just to cover them off. If you're behind on the transfers, they can make transfers that you can't then cover, if that makes sense. So I just keep an eye on them, just to see what they're doing, and then just copy them the week after. makes sound like a ridiculously boring way to play, but if they've gone for Grealish and you've gone for Mahrez, just bring in Grealish the week after, and it just kills it off. Obviously, if you're 5 points up, it's different. I'm talking about if you've
kills their heart as well.
Exactly.
Destroy them.
Destroy them. All they want to do is sleep.
It absolutely ruins them.
The way to play. I've had it done to me, and it's just like, it is. That's the game, right? It's a season-long game, and if you get yourself in that position and you play it like that, you deserve to win, in my opinion.
Yeah, why not? Why not? Right, we go to you, Fergie, for this one from Amam. With 10 transfers left till the end of the season, obviously got April and May. We know we're not getting any new ones in June. So, if chasing, is this the best time to go different, or is it a case of further behind you are the more differentials you need? And can a 100-point lead be overcome at this stage, or is it too late?
In terms of the 100-point, it probably depends who you're playing against. Because if they're playing someone like the person I just talked about, who will just cover you for a mini league, then that is going to be hard to overturn. But in terms of differentials, I still think there's enough. It's such a wide open game this season that I think there's still enough differentials, even in reasonably well-owned players and top players, that you can afford to take a few risks that are not even massively risky. Like I say, Alvarez, for example. Has my internet gone, or is it working? Sorry.
No, I just muted James.
Oh, okay.
Confused
like
me.
Alvarez.
Right, there we go. Oh, that's
Like
better.
Alvarez, for as an example. I'm not sure what Alvarez ownership is, but I'll take a look now.
It's probably just me.
Alvarez
ownership is
2.5%.
2.5%.
Yeah.
Mahrez 6.9%. Just to name two players, especially Mahrez, he'll be nailed in my team from next week. So he's massive. A differential in his own right. Looking at Kane, he's only 32% owned this season because obviously Rashford and Haaland have been two kind of the go-to players. Salah 28%. So I still think there's these absolute diamond dream team players that you can get. It's kind of when you jump on them at the right time.
It is.
You need a bit of luck there, definitely. But I think if you time it right, there's still loads of gains. It's not like it's been in previous season where there's been like a ridiculous template. This season's so wide open because you've got your Newcastle and Arsenal players who have turned the season on its head. There's still loads. Like I'm sure if you look at the Man City defense as an example, Man City like block defense, right? Ruben Dias 10.9% owned, Ake 6.6, Grealish only 5.2 as a midfielder, Akanji 3.1, Edison 12.5, Gundogan 3.8, Stones 1.4. There's so many top players you can go for. You don't have to go for John McGinn. There's lots of really good players you can go for. It's the timing and the luck with the timing there.
Yeah, definitely. Do you reckon, James?
I think Fergie's nailed it with that one. Yeah, nothing to add.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of options, isn't there? And when you start spouting the percentage owned from them, it shows if you could put 3 or 4 of them in your side, and they're not. I mean, we're not even talking differentials, really. We're talking top players.
Yeah.
3 or 4 of them. Do you need hat tricks for a 100-point lead at this point? Probably one. Probably need one. Alvarez, throw him in. But then people like you probably got Salah as a differential. He's not. You look at the top 100. How many people have Salah? There's not many. I say that on the back of I don't really know, but I know from last week there wasn't that many that had him. I just have to have a quick check.
Salah in the top 100 is 13% owned.
So 13 teams in the top 100. It's nothing, is it? When you're all about winning it or trying to look for a player to win it.
And Saka is 77 and Foden is 52. So if you look at their profile of those teams, a lot of them are in the wrong shape. You know what I mean? But Salah 13% is crazy. Like I say, I probably wouldn't jump on him yet. I'd probably wait to the second half of the month again. Just
definitely.
Fixtures, but madness.
It shows you what opportunities are probably coming up within the next few weeks. So it's definitely one to keep an eye on, man. And you're in a good position there as well. So just watch that. Connor, any advice for people who are first in the mini leagues but only by a few points? For example, a 5 to 15 points gap. That is literally just you're not in a safe enough position to start blocking.
No,
You've just got to keep doing what you're doing. You're on top of the league. Yeah, you're top of the league for a reason. I keep playing your game. I think Connor's got forward pot man up his arse, I think. I do think I seen it at the table earlier. I don't know where I seen it. I think Connor were at the top and Flower Pot Man was second. So that'll be an interesting one for you, Connor. You can keep that lead, but you've just got to keep going where you're going. You're at the top for a reason. It's not enough to start blocking. It isn't, because as soon as you start doing that, you're going to get eaten up.
Agree with that, definitely. Especially if you've got a crowd after you as well. Like most of the advice I've said so far is when there's like 1 or 2 teams following you, but when you've got 10 teams within 30, 40 points of you, there'll be such variation of players that it's impossible to hoard them all off. So I suppose that's a more similar scenario that I was in, obviously, when I was top of Dream Team, because I had 30 teams, all with massive different teams within 30, 40, 50 points of me. And all I did then was just make the sensible play. Every just make the right, right is a thing. But that template I read out earlier is what I would feel would be the kind of optimal team to go into April with and to work towards. And it's also quite loose in terms of you can then pivot either way. So all of a sudden, if you want to go all in on Man City, you've already got 4 or 5 players. You can make that 7 or 8 quite quickly. If Man City get knocked out and Man United go through and start to look really good, you'll have four United players. You can quickly turn that into 6, for example, and stuff. So I would just make the sensible moves. I definitely wouldn't be going for Danny Ings in that case.
I wrote the only note I wrote for this one was just keep making sensible moves.
Exactly that.
I do wonder if is there an argument not to look at other, if it's that close, almost not to look at the other teams, because it may well you can find yourself getting into this trap of worrying too much about what the person behind you's doing instead of doing what you've been doing all season, which is why you're top. So just be careful about. I've seen people do this, particularly on our Discord. They're absolutely obsessed with what the other person's doing, particularly if there's a real rivalry between the two people or money's involved or something. And it can actually ruin your game in a way. I've seen it happen, and just you need to work out what the sensible moves are, and then maybe look at their team just for curiosity's sake. But don't let that drive your strategy completely, because it can throw you off kilter totally.
I completely agree, and I think I'd also add as well is don't forget that those people who are chasing you are looking at your team, working out how they can be different. Yeah. So they're the ones who have to take the risks. So they're the ones who have to take De Bruyne out for Jared Bowen if they want to try and cut that thing. They're the ones who need to go for, even go for Alvarez ahead of Salah. They're the ones who need to do it. So let them. I've got a little thing. Are we on YouTube? We are, aren't we? That's something I've got on my. I don't know if you read it, but it says "Let the others make mistakes." Yeah, and that is something which I've got on my screen, which I put there all the time. That whenever I think about a transfer, I just think about it, and I'm like, am I the one now who are just trying to be different for different sake, when it's not actually a really good move? And then I look at that and I think, let the others make the mistakes, and let the others chasing you have to take risks. And you know what? If they gamble on Danny Ings and he bangs in back-to-back hat tricks in Europa League, you just got to say, what can I do? What can I do? You can't do anything about that, can you? It's like, but you know what? If you don't go for the obvious player like Mahrez, and you go for Danny Ings because he's got the things, and then Ings does absolutely shit all, which is likely, but Mahrez gets an 18 point in the Champions League and an 8 point the week after, you feel like an absolute dummy.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Completely agree with all that. Connor, just keep what you're doing, mate. Keep what you're doing. Keep it straight. Win that league. Win that league. Aman, question 4. He's put all these fucking hell. I'll tell you what, Aman, just come on pod next week.
He's in India at the moment, isn't he? So
no, he is.
He's like on a month's holiday, so he's got plenty of time to
I'm all joking, mate. Fergie went heavy on Brighton in Telegraph Fantasy Football. I know you were listening to the pod that you did with Darkest Jungle and stuff. Will you do likewise in the Sun Dream team?
Nope. because they're completely different games and they got different fixtures. However, I probably will towards the back end of the month when we know a bit more about the FA Cup, when the extra fixtures land in and stuff. But at the moment, you just got to look at the fixtures. They're away to Spurs next week, away to Chelsea the week after, and in that time, other teams have 4 really, really good games. And even after that, Brighton then got Man United away in the FA. Oh, away, sorry. They'll have Man United in the FA Cup, which is not going to be an easy fixture either. So maybe after that, look at it, but not until then. Not for me. I've missed the boat on them, right? This is the thing. So if you've got them, if you've got Mitoma or Mars, wherever it is, and they've done incredibly well for you, that's absolutely brilliant. But just got to look at the fixture volume and make a decision on whether you're just happy to hold them, just basically while they're not playing or not, and while they've got a couple of toughish fixtures. Because I think if it was me, I'd move them on. I'm not saying that will be the right move in terms of outcome, but with everything, it's the process, right? It's the way you play yourself to where you convince yourself is the best way of playing, and mine is always to focus on the fixture volume.
Yeah. Well, that worked for you, Owen, with that. James, I don't know what's going on with your sound in your flat, but you seem to be having.
I wondered why you kept muting me. I thought he must. I know what it is. It's the laptop fan.
Ah, the bloody laptop fan.
Yeah. Can you hear it now?
No, perfectly sound.
Yeah, I deliberately put it down the side so it wouldn't be in the picture.
What's that laptop from like 1994?
Put it down the side. Apologies, like you should have said something sooner. I didn't realise.
I should have. I was trying to work out where we're coming from. That's why I kept muting you.
That totally threw me. Actually. But there you go. I was like, why is he muted me? Am I heavy breathing or something?
No, I weren't the heavy breathing. That were a few episodes ago. Right. What's this about? What's this about? A £15 million 15-year-old or £5 million 15-year-old that Chelsea bought?
They've just spent €20 million on a 15-year-old. So he will join them permanently when he's 18. So still splashing the cash. I was going to say something ruder, but
grooming. Yeah, that's a strange one. 15 years old. How much? How many millions? 15 million?
20 million euros.
20 million euros.
Headline that I read. So yeah.
Jesus Christ. Well, just sacked the manager as well. Interesting times at Chelsea. Interesting times.
He's made an absolute mint. Didn't he sign like a 5 or 7 year contract, something stupid like that?
Potter.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it was a really long contract, I know, wasn't it?
And they paid Brighton as well, didn't they? They had to pay him out of these contracts and to get hold of him.
He's a very rich man all of a sudden.
Yeah, and it's a very expensive mistake for Chelsea. I don't think so much it's a mistake. I like Potter. I think he's a good manager. I think at this moment in time, it's not right. Going to a place like Chelsea.
Have a guess how many managers have been sacked in the Premier League this season?
Is it 6? As many as usual?
7?
Yeah, I'd go about that. 7 or 8.
12.
Is it?
12. Shit. Blimey.
Graham Potter, Thomas Tuchel, Antonio Conte, Steven Gerrard, Frank Lampard, Patrick Vieira, Scott Parker, Bruno Lage, Ralph Hasenhüttl, Jesse March, Nathan Jones, and Brendan Rodgers.
That must be a record, I think.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy. You don't even remember it, do you? It's just par for course kind of thing. You just expect it. Right. Let's have a run through the mini league top 10. Be a few names being sacked on here if they don't make it to the top 4. Jambo, have a read through this, mate.
Yeah. So for the Dream Team Tonic Cash League, in 10th, we've got Dan Bartlam. 9th, Lee Watson. 8th, Andy Allett. 7th, Tom Brinley. 6th, Mark Tavares. 5th, Stephen Williams. 4th, Andy Allett. 3rd, Tom Brinley. 2nd, Anthony Sutcliffe. And at the top, Simon Davis.
God, there's some names on that list. Flipping heck. What a bunch of bandits. Unbelievable. What a list.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yep. I was praying for that Newcastle goal today. A few of them that are around me with massive Newcastle United blocks. Good one. Next up, the DT Tonic Patreon League. In 10th, we've got Jake Bevan. 8th, Stephen Broughton. And joint 8th, Nicholas Deetham. 7th, Aman Tatler. 6th, me, Anthony Sutcliffe. 5th, Mark McKee. 4th, Wayne Foster Crouch. 3rd, Tom Brindley. 2nd, Lee Houghton. And top of the shop, John Mellier. He's regained top spot. Lee Houghton has been there for quite a while, so good battle between them two. Over to the next league, which was a second chance league. James, you want to read this one out, mate?
Yeah. In 11th, we've got James
11th?
Hold on, I thought I put the wrong pissing table on then.
What do you mean 11?
We've got 3 teams in joint 8th. Phil Russo, Andrew Tweddle, and Tom Brinley. In 7th, we've got Tom Brinley. 6th, Anthony Sutcliffe. 5th, Stephen Holt. 4th, Ben Lee. 3rd, Anthony Sutcliffe. 2nd, Jamie Curry. And still at the top, Anthony Sutcliffe.
Up there.
Flying. Absolutely flying. Well played.
Excellent. Doing well. Right. A league we've not done in a little while. Here we go. The differential league.
We've got the wrong graphic, Tony.
Yeah, we probably have, because
which is
have
probably
they all been updated?
So the only difference is Bennett. So the order of the picks is different, and Bowen has 20 points. So I think that puts Ben a bit further up the league.
It puts Ben above James.
Yeah.
By 2 points. Everything else is all right, isn't it?
Close, isn't it? What's that? 19 points between first and last?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought earlier, wow, that's amazing. It's also thing, but I just think we've all been absolute shite this season at picking 109 points over a whole season to be winning it is pretty poor, isn't it? Let's be honest.
It is when, if you look at mine, say Matoma has got 41 of my points in March.
Exactly. There's another 7 months worth of things to go on there. Brilliant. I'm first. I'm first this again, then, am I?
You've got first pick.
Well, I know I'm going. I know I'm going. I'll pick now, so it's done. Riyad Mahrez, 6.9%.
Oh,
there we go. Now you're in trouble, gents. Now you're in trouble.
Who's next pick is James, isn't it?
I believe it's me for next pick.
James next pick.
Yeah, I'm going to go for Alvarez.
Nice pick. Not as good as Mahrez, but nice enough.
Did we get Ben's pick?
We did. Ben picked Mahrez, but but he won't be able to have Mahrez because Fergie picked him.
That's tough shit,
So
isn't
that's
it?
one of the problems of doing it live without everyone here. I think what we'll have to do is hold it there and then get Ben's revised pick, and then you'll do yours, Tony. Unless we want to make a unilateral decision and say Ben gets last pick now, but he probably won't be very happy about that.
Well, he shouldn't be sailing on them ships, should he? So I'm going to have Jack Grealish.
Okay.
So he's made his second decision. Ben's going last.
So we've got Ben to go next, and then the community will have to vote after that. Connor, if you're listening, we will get that out to you, Ben's pick, and then you can give your little poll out. You're in the lead by 2 points. We're coming for you.
I can't believe Grealish is only 5.2% owned. I just had to double check to make sure you weren't putting a fast one, Tony.
We're cheating. To be fair though, he's
the combinations
still not scored very high.
It's the combinations of players, which I think is always really interesting as well. You learn this a bit more in FPL, but having the combination of Grealish, Mahrez, and Alvarez, which could realistically be a front three in for Man City in a few games to come. The combined ownership of 5.2, 6.9, and 2.5 is 0 point something, right? So if you have all three of them, that's an insane differential. That's just an example.
Yeah, definitely.
Just for completeness as well, on West Ham's odds in the Europa League game, they're more than 1-3, so 3-1 on to go through. So they're heavy favourites to go through, which, if people are thinking of going in on any of them, should probably factor in their thinking that they are likely to go through to the next round, which would mean another 2 games minimum.
You'd hope so. Definitely. They've got the talent there. I don't believe they're not going to get rid of the manager and put some fresh impetus.
I think so. They've got some fantastic players, West Ham. They really have, haven't they? They're just
so talented.
They are.
Something's wrong there, isn't it? But anyway, it's been good to have you on again, Fergie.
And you guys thanks for me on. I particularly enjoyed the toilet break. I thought that was the highlight of my highlight of the show.
Should we be offended by that comment? Or
yeah. That was a highlight when nothing was going on and we had a bit of music going on. No, always good to have you on, mate, and hopefully we'll have you on for the end of season, like closure and stuff like that. We'll close down.
That would be awesome. I'm sorry I've had such a poor season this year. I know I give all this advice, and I'm an absolute nightmare. But
no, it's always great advice, mate.
Just ideas.
Always great advice. Definitely. Cheers, James.
Cheers, guys. Thanks
Get
for
well soon,
mate.
I'll speak to you all soon.
Thanks all. See you next time.